A few months ago, Erik Ten Hag was viewed as the Messiah, the Moses who would lead Manchester United to the other side of the river, help them to cross to the other side, because United had been languishing in the bad places. After leading them to a third place finish in his first season in charge, Manchester United supporters felt, we've got our man. Now, just months later, 10 games into the new season, many feel that Erik Ten Hag is not the man to steer the sinking Manchester United ship into the right direction. Welcome to the Hotspot, and this edition of the Hotspot is to talk about one of the men people are looking at as the possible replacement for Erik Ten Hag as boss of Manchester United. But question is Zinedine Zidane willing and available to come and take charge of a club that is sinking, that has wanted him for the longest time? Welcome again, and I'm here to give you that. Now, the latest we've had is that Erik Ten Hag has got the full backing, first of all, of the Manchester United board. There is no worry at all that Erik Ten Hag is going to leave Manchester United. He's about to be sacked. I think from the latest update we have, we know that he has got the full backing of the board, at least for now. Of course, we know that in football, he as well should know that in football anything can happen. And if results don't come, if we do continue to lose games, if this Saturday we lose to Fulham, for example, perhaps the story will change. The patience might run out. Now, that is the case. That is what we know. There is no credible source that has told us that Erik Ten Hag is going to be sacked. However, there are people who feel that Manchester United are now looking ahead, that there is a possibility that Erik Ten Hag will not be able to turn things around because of reasons, of course, that we can point at. Certain players apparently feel unhappy, most of the senior players, with Erik Ten Hag for one or two things: for how he handles fellow players, fellow senior players in the media, in the press, more so case in point, Jadon Sancho, but also some players like Rafael Varane are believed not to be happy with his decisions in terms of selection. Varane, for example, was benched against Man City, something that did not augur well with him, and apparently he's not happy. But of course, as a senior player, he will deal with it different. Now, there are already people that are coming up with names of replacements for Erik Ten Hag, and that man, Zinedine Zidane, is one of the names that is coming back. Remember, before the coming of Erik Ten Hag, Zinedine Zidane was one of the front runners to come and take over the job, because people felt after him taking a sabbatical, after his second spell of stint at Real Madrid, he the United felt like they've got it. They are the club to come and get him out of that sabbatical after the success of Real Madrid. I mean, he's a big manager. He succeeded at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Certainly, Man United is his level. But he went. Zinedine Zidane refused the Manchester United job, and this is what he said back then. I'm just quoting him for you. When I was a player, I could choose almost every club. As a coach, there aren't 50 clubs I can go to. There are 2 or 3 possibilities. If I go back to a club, it is to win. I say this in all modesty. That's why I can't go anywhere. For other reasons too. I might not be able to go everywhere. Which ones? What are the reasons? He says the language, for example, certain conditions make things more difficult. He explained. That is according to Zinedine Zidane back then, when he was contacted by Manchester United, or linked to Manchester United before Erik Ten Hag came through. He said, went on to say, when I was a player, I would choose almost every club. Of course, now this is his statement. You know, so Zinedine Zidane, of course, does not speak proper English. He struggles with English, but also knowing, given if you watched him play, the style of football he played, he's a meticulous player who is neat. He's a clean, neat player, and he actually said it in the more details on that in that statement. He said he knows what he needs to do to win. He knows language and communication is important. Other managers succeed with interpreters, but he says he listens to English and he hears what they say, but he does not communicate properly. So that is why he wouldn't join a club in England in the Premier League, because of the language barrier. So maybe that in itself just kicks him out. But of course, we know that I think for me, and he said, and other reasons too, but for me, I think that's beyond the reasons, because I think really in this day and age, managers can take on clubs speaking different languages, because even at Real Madrid, when he was winning trebles, rather when he was winning in a hat-trick of Champions League trophies, he was not playing with, managing French speaking, only French speaking footballers. French and Spanish speaking footballers. So I think he can adjust. I think he's not so bad with his English. I think these days, there are ways people can learn. France is not so far from the UK. France, I think, is about 4 hours away from London by train. So really, I think he can learn the language. So I think there is a possibility that he can handle the job if language is his disquiet. So for me, that can be rolled out. But here is why I feel Zinedine Zidane is sort of, and to us as United supporters, it's a wishful a wishful choice of a manager, that we are just there wishing to have the good guys around and all. But what are the odds that Zidane, in his capacity, obviously, so many clubs, like he said, have wanted to sign him. PSG wanted him. Real Madrid obviously would want him back, maybe after, because Carlo Ancelotti is leaving to join Brazil. Of course, they talk about Jabi Alonso coming through to replace him. But I'm sure Zinedine Zidane, France, the French national team, probably is the next job he's taking, because we know Didier Deschamps perhaps will not stay for so long, and may or after Didier Deschamps. So the reality is Zinedine Zidane is wanted by literally every club in the world who want to get him as their manager. He has just refused to come out of his sabbatical for reasons he knows. Because I told you, he's a proud, classy player. Even the way his teams play, even the way they win, the way he does his things is different. You would see it from the way he played football. So for me, I don't see him accepting to join the mess of Manchester United, to be honest. And whereas I would love to see him there and see what he can do, and of course I know the Premier League is a whole different ball game. There are no guarantees that because he won a hat trick of Champions League titles with Real Madrid as manager, he would win the same with Man United. I think it's a whole different ball game. The Premier League is intense. Players will tell you that it's fast, it's thick, it's ruthless. It's games every weekend. So many games, game after game. Any team can beat you. Unpredictability. Teams are just so fast. It's so difficult. There is no guarantee that he will succeed. But would I love to see him at United? Obviously, because I mean, he's Zinedine Zidane. I would only not want to see him after he has failed, but I would love to see him at United. But does as Zidane, the Zidane we know, would he be willing to go into the mess we are seeing at Man United? A mess that has seen the most proven managers in global football fail after Sir Alex Ferguson, from David Moyes, perhaps he might not be the most proven, but talk about Louis van Gaal, talk about Jose Mourinho. So Erik Ten Hag, who came and had a good season, and look what's happening now. He's looking like one of the worst managers to ever leave. So for me, I think the nature, the rot at Manchester United cannot allow Zinedine Zidane to even want to associate. So for me, I think that is a far-fetched thing. I don't think it's going to happen. I just wanted to address that rumor. I don't think it's real unless we get a clear change in things and how they are done at Manchester United. Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming up, of course, and taking his 25% and having control of the footballing side, leaving the business to the Glazers. That's the deal. We are told they agreed. But even if that happens, he has got to change a lot about the club, make a clear investment into the club, and kick the Glazers completely out of the football matters of the club, because that is the only way you're going to convince a manager, top manager, not just Zinedine Zidane, any other top manager. There were people talking about Jose Mourinho returning. I don't see Mourinho returning into this mess unless things have completely changed. And world class managers set their conditions like that. That's the beauty about football today. So for me, Zidane to United ideally would be amazing for me as a fan. I would love to see him. I miss Zinedine Zidane. I just love to see him on the touchline do his thing, because I mean he's a special person. He's a special footballer. But at Man United, I don't see that happening. I don't see him taking up that job. Not with his pride. Not with the situation at Man United. So for me, for now, we will be stuck with Erik Ten Hag. Do I think Ten Hag is about to be sacked? For now, like I said, no, I think he shouldn't. I think he won't. But if we keep losing games to small teams at Old Trafford, and in the manner we've been seeing us lose games recently, then this story might change. And I'll be the first to come back here and tell you, you know what, this man deserves the boot, and I will be giving you names of replacements. But for now, this Zinedine Zidane talk for me is not going to excite to happen. I don't think it's happening. Let's not be so excited about it. Let's think about others. maybe. But for now, we need to focus on supporting the manager Erik Ten Hag, while also helping him get into the right state of mind to make the right decisions. Because right now, anything could happen. The pressure seems to be all pointing on him. Before we were mentioning players like Marcus Rashford, Bruno not taking initiative and all, but now it seems it has all shifted to the manager. He's sulking it up. He said it himself. He's taking responsibility. But when the manager starts saying all this and being defensive, it's headed, the wrong way for them. However, do I think things can change? I think maybe if the players are willing to play for him, but from the reports we are getting, it seems the players are not so excited to play for Erik Ten Hag. Some senior players, and I told you, rumors about Manchester United today have got to be listened to, because it's not the most difficult thing to leak information out of Man United lately. We are that kind of club. It's so easy to leak information out of us, of our club. So yeah, I think the first thing Ten Hag has got to do is to to show us progress in performance, show us improvement in performance, starting with the game against Fulham on Saturday. If that does not happen, and Fulham is a stubborn team, if that does not happen, then trust me, the story will be different, and we'll be back here talking about his replacements. Hotspot, subscribe. My name is Webb. Let me know what you think. Do you think Zinedine Zidane should even be thought about as manager of Manchester United? Do you even think he can take up the job? If you were Zidane, considering the mess United is in right now, you are wanted by perhaps all clubs and national teams in the world. Would you go for Manchester United right now? Be honest. Hotspot, subscribe. My name is Webb. I'll catch you later.